Tell them something. Tell them something smart.
It's cold out here.
Alright guys, see you on the next vlog.
Alright guys, see you on the next vlog.
What's going on, guys? I know this video is a little bit late, but if you can see by that title, you can probably guess why it's a little bit late. I did fall off track a little bit last week, and then since then I've been kind of getting back on track. But I wanted to make a video actually. I thought it would be an interesting idea to make a video about what you do when you kind of fall into a little bit of a slump or you fall out of your groove. I guess not necessarily what you do, but this is what I did. This is what I normally would do if something like this comes up, and then if nothing else, it might give you an idea as to things you can try next time you find yourself in a situation like this. So a few things before I get into the video. One is, in case you guys don't already know, I do offer online coaching. If you're interested in something like that, you want to work with me, I do have meetings in person or like face-to-face on a video call with every athlete on my team at least once a week. Custom training, nutrition programming as well. So if that's something that you think you might be interested in, shoot me an email. I'll put my email address here. You can shoot me a message on Instagram as well, and we'll talk about that, how that works, and maybe we'll hop on a call to discuss whether that's a good fit for you. Otherwise, for the regular subscribers, people who already watch my channel, if you're here for a fitness video, there will be training at some point in this video, but this is going to be more so like productivity or lifestyle. So if that's helpful, great. If not, and you don't care to hear this, go ahead and skip to the timestamp I'll put here. Otherwise, skip this video entirely and watch something else. So I'm sure we've all had something like this happen where, you know, you're working really good, you're getting everything done, and you kind of find your groove, you develop good habits, and you have your routine going where, you know, you get your work done, you train, you eat well, you're sleeping well, everything's going great, and then for whatever reason or whatever the cause might be, you get thrown off. We can't always predict things like that, but the one thing we can always count on is that something will always happen at some point. Inevitably, something will happen to throw you off. And when that happens, I think it helps a lot to have a plan to help you work through that and navigate that situation and get yourself back into your groove, get yourself back to working productively again as quickly as you can. Otherwise, you know, it might take days, weeks, months, who knows how long to get yourself back to a place where you're working, you know, the way you need to be working again, the place where you're being productive as you want to. Whatever the case might be, however you're in this situation, here's my list of things that you can try. Number one, physical activity. Before you do anything, if you are anything like me, and this applies especially to people like online entrepreneurs who work from home or work from a computer, or if you have a sedentary job. In those cases, it's very rare that you'd have physical activity at work, so whatever physical activity you do have is likely things that you generally do, like training or recreation, whatever you're doing on the side, that's all your physical activity, right? And for me, I find that because I don't have as much physical activity as I might have in college when I had to walk to and from classes all the time, it does take its toll, you know? You get kind of stuck into a little bit of boredom maybe. So one of the best things to do in that situation is to get a little bit of physical activity. In this case, if you've fallen off track and you're trying to find a way to get yourself back, I don't think it makes sense to go for you know, a really long workout necessarily if you're behind work. In my case, what I prefer to do is go for a short walk. I'm lucky that I live in a nice enough area that I can go walk out at night. Doesn't matter what time it is, I feel pretty safe. If you don't feel safe doing something like that, another option is just do like a quick set of push-ups or a couple sets of push-ups. Something like that, just to get your heart rate up a little bit, get yourself moving, and get yourself active so hopefully your brain starts working as well. Number two, second thing here is food and water. Obviously, water, if you're dehydrated, you're not going to be able to do anything very well, and you'll probably have a little bit of a headache going on. So make sure you're fully hydrated. If you think you're dehydrated or you know you're dehydrated, another thing that can help is increasing sodium and or potassium intake simultaneously. That will make you a little bit bloated, but it will help you hold on to water and get hydrated or get back to normal hydration a little bit faster than just drinking water by itself. So water, of course, and then nutrition is the second thing. If you've fallen into a slump, you might have fallen off track with your diet if you're, you know, keeping track of your diet, or maybe you're just making less healthy food choices than you normally would. In any case, try to get yourself some healthy food, get some food in you so you have some fuel. Kind of a side note about this, whatever you eat, like it's important to eat something, but the food that you do eat or whatever you choose kind of matters as well. A lot of times if you eat something super high fat, you're going to feel a little more lethargic after that. Some people who are more insulin and carb sensitive, less insulin sensitive, more carb sensitive, you might feel real sluggish after eating a really carb dense meal or something that hits your bloodstream really fast. So you might want to avoid simple carbs in that situation, or at least pair your simple carbs with fats and or proteins to make sure that glucose uptake is a little bit slower. But my go-to, for me at least, is this shake that you see me making. I eat this at least once a day, every day, but it's basically whey protein, a little bit of weight gainer, raw oatmeal, and skim milk. This is fairly low fat. I think this entire thing has like, I want to say it's 8 fat, mostly from the oatmeal protein. There's like 120 something carbs and like 60 protein. And that's a lot of food. This is a bad example for most people, but my point is just that you want to probably keep this meal a little bit low fat. Your carb sources for the most part should be complex, and maybe get a good chunk of protein in there. But eat something, try to eat something healthy, should make you feel a little bit better. The next thing on this list, or my next suggestion, would be to make a list for yourself. A lot of you guys probably maybe already have like a planner or a schedule of some sorts that you use, and that's great. But I do feel like being super precise, super detailed with that can be overwhelming sometimes. And that might be part of the reason why you fell off track. I'm not saying you should abandon ship and don't do that anymore, but I am saying in this specific situation, getting back on track, I have found that simplicity helps a lot. So my script for this video, and also my checklist from the day that this happened, or the day I was getting back on track, which was a few days ago at this point, but it really is just a checklist. So I don't know how well you guys can see this or how good my writing is, but basically I have up at the top here, these are my goals for work stuff. So pretty short list, right? These are the things that I have to get done before the end of the night. At least that's the goal, and having this list helps a ton. So the first point is that when you're making that list, you want to make it as simple as possible. Don't complicate it with notes and details about what you're doing. Just write down the task by itself. And then what I found helps a lot, if you have a way to like visually block off what you're working on. So in this case, I'll just fold this here so you can kind of see. Block it off to just one task. Use note cards above and below if you have to block off the top and the bottom, but block it off so you can only see one task. And you don't need to do that, but I think that it helps, because the main point is that you want to focus on one thing at a time. A lot of times when we feel overwhelmed, we're having a hard time getting back on track. It's because we have so many things that we know we need to do, and we're thinking about them all at once. And truth be told, none of us are that good at multitasking. Or what you're probably doing is just doing 8 things really poorly when you could have just done one efficiently and really well. So try to just isolate to one thing. Focus on one thing at a time, get that thing done in a timely manner as well as you can, and then move on to the next. Step number 4, I think that's number 4. I might have lost track, but step number 4 is adding urgency. Adding a sense of urgency to the work that you're doing, that might not be the best way to describe it, but that is, in my opinion, crucial to get things done in a timely manner. There's a couple ways that I like to do this. One is on my list occasionally, after I write out my list, I will actually estimate how long each task should take me, and I'll put a time allowance for each one. Set a time allowance, that's one way to do it, and just try to commit to that time allowance. Second way to do this is I think it's called the Pomodoro method, or the tomato timer. There's plenty of apps you can download from the App Store or from the Google Play Store. Or you can use a timer, your normal timer on your phone, or an actual timer. But the method is essentially this, where you work in intervals. So it would be 25 minutes working followed by 5 minutes of break time, and then you rinse and repeat. When I used to use this a lot in school for studying, I would go 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off. I'd repeat that for 4 intervals. So by the time 2 hours went by, I would have a half-hour break there, and then that might be it. I might call it a day there. I might just go through another 2-hour interval after that. But having that segmented work period where like you are working like full out, high intensity for 25 minutes helps a lot, because at the end of that time period, you're allowing yourself some time to take a break. I find that the Pomodoro method, or the tomato timer thing, works really well if you're easily distracted. If you work on a computer and you're tempted to open up social media, Facebook, YouTube, whatever your vice is, if you're tempted to go on those things and just scroll mindlessly, that can help you to have that sense of urgency, so you understand in the back of your head that you have to be working actively if you're going to finish in time. Number 5, positive reinforcement. So assuming that you constructed your list, you made your plan of attack, and you went through that successfully, you got everything done, I think it's crucial, or at least preferable, that you have some sense of positive reinforcement to, like in the core of your brain, remind yourself that what you did was good, that you were able to get back on track. And I know this kind of sounds cheesy and corny, but if there's any advantage that you can take, I feel like you should. So in this case, like if you do something as simple as, sitting down for a nice meal afterward, or it depends what you like, and giving yourself food as a reward is also kind of a different topic entirely, too complicated for this video. But the point is, find some sort of positive reinforcement that you can use to reinforce this behavior. Step number 6, not really a step in the strictest sense, but the idea is prevention. Like after all this is said and done, maybe the next morning after you wake up, or the day after, whatever, spend some time thinking about how you can prevent getting in a situation like this in the first place. Why try to understand why you fell out of your groove or why you got out of your routine and so on. Like I said in the beginning, it's inevitable that something's going to happen. Something will come up to throw you off, and not being able to adapt to that could be a reason why you fell off track and fell into this slump. Another thing to consider is maybe you're just not as time efficient as you want to be or you thought you were. A lot of times I think that those of us who stick to a schedule or try to schedule our days, we are very aggressive or optimistic when we're scheduling. Like we might say, whatever task will take us half an hour and ends up taking 35, 40, 45 minutes, a lot longer than it was supposed to, essentially. If we always do that, we're always going to be behind schedule. It's always disappointing. It's always stressful. So I think setting realistic time allowances for whatever you're doing helps a lot. And third point is that if you don't schedule, if you don't kind of try to organize yourself or plan ahead a little bit, I'm not saying that you have to do everything like I do where you have it written out ahead of time. I'm not saying you have to be neurotic about Google Calendars and keeping appointments and so on. But having some way to plan things ahead of time does two things for you. One, it frees up cognitive space. Like you don't have to spend time worrying about what time you're supposed to get things done at. You kind of just check on your planner or your Google Calendars or whatever. So it frees up some space for you to actually think about whatever you're supposed to be doing in the moment. And two, planning ahead helps a lot because it helps you stay on track in the sense that if you spend 15, 20, 30 minutes at the end of the day planning for the next day or next week, whatever, if you spend that time doing that, the chances of you following through are just higher because you've already invested the time figuring out what you're supposed to do. All you have to do is follow through, right? Otherwise, if you don't follow through, you're kind of just wasting your time, and nobody likes wasting their own time. So I guess to recap, whether or not you use all these tips or any of them, totally up to you, but I would encourage you at least to try them if you find yourself in a similar position that I was last week, where you kind of fell out of your groove. Try these out. If you have any other tips that you want to share with me, comment below. I would love to hear them. But I think the biggest thing is understanding that you have to be able to adapt when things don't go your way, and two, figuring out how you will do better in the future. And keep in mind, guys, anytime I make videos like this, or just in general, a lot of things that I post, they are just as much reminders to myself as they are, hopefully informational for you. Time for the training portion of this video. If you've made it this far, I appreciate you. I might have to find a better way to make these episodes because I feel like these get way too long when I have a tutorial that's as long as this one was. But this is going to be short anyway. This is just a single training session where I kind of doubled up. I did a squat session and a bench session together, which generally not advisable. And I made an Instagram post about this. So if you want to take a look at that on Instagram, I'll put that over here somewhere. You can see it. Go follow me on Instagram. But yeah, real rough session. I was running on like 3 hours of sleep, and mobility was absolute trash. But I just really wanted to get a bunch of work done this day because I had some time to do it, and I had been itching to get back into the gym for a while. So rough session, the squats, I actually took what was, I believe, my middle or top option of the day. So I give myself options for working weight. And in this case, I took one of the higher ones because I felt good. But in retrospect, looking at my technique, not the cleanest. My bar is drifting all over the place, forward and back. And you actually can see quite a bit of bar rotation or torso rotation on the way down here. Looks like my left hip was super tight. Couldn't open up that left leg that much, and ended up rotating off to my right side. You'll see after this, I do bench press as well. And my bench press ended up taking the lowest option because I felt so gassed. But it is what it is, If you're going to train twice in one day, or 2 sessions in the span of one, you're going to kind of pay the price. But anyway, I guess before I ramble on too long, I do want to mention that I should have a video coming out every week for the most part. This past week, obviously, you know why. But from this Thursday, there will either be a video up next Monday or next Thursday, depending on what I do this week. But there will be a video up next week for sure. If you guys have any ideas or any suggestions for future videos, let me know in the comments. If you guys are interested in coaching, shoot me an email or shoot me a DM. And I guess for now, that's going to be about it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.